Okay, welcome to join this community. And for some overall status, for 1.15, we have tagged the RC2 some days ago, and now we have enough time, and so we will tag the GA build if there is no critical issues today. That for 1.15 and for 1.16, we're still collecting the requirements and also reviewing the candidates. Actually, we have finished the certain review of the candidates, and we have put more into the milestone, and there may be some items be left into the candidate and before the FC. Sorry, before the feature phrase, and we will add the items granularly into the milestone. That's it. And from my side, I'm working on the investigation of 1.16 candidates, and I'm also working on 1.15 release. That from my side. And Tiger, please.
Yes, from my side, I'm continuing to look at the performance testing of copia backup to local volume and storage. That's my status.
Okay, thanks. And Shubham, please.
Yeah, I started working on the issue for 116 where we allow status restore for a particular resource. So I will put up a design PR soon on that, and we can get reviews on that. And other than that, I need reviews on the. Yeah, go ahead. Did you want to say something, Linda?
No, I just cannot hear you just now. It's okay now.
Yeah. I'll put up a design, then we can talk it through maybe.
Okay.
Did reviews on two PRs. One is a minor doc fix, and other one is the Argo CD warning that I had mentioned earlier.
Okay, thanks. Okay, any more updated? If now we can go to the discussion topic. And for the first discussion, it's about the iPad support, and we have put this requirement as the candidates of 1.16, and actually we have also discussed this previously in our local team or in the community meeting. So we want to share some open questions we have identified that may need a design to address them, and including the user experience and the overall workflow, and also this open questions. I see Tiger is also working on some part of this NF support requirements. So maybe we can have some more discussions online or offline, and make some conclusions. So the first thing is, along with the development of the Velero, we have some different part works differently with regarding to the iPad's target or backup story. For example, for the resource backup, most probably we still need to run in the Velero server. So how do we integrate persist volume representing NFS to Velero server? That is one question. And the other part is the iPad backup. For now, it's still running the node agent, but we do see some some problem for this kind of integration. For example, when we adding a new persist volume representing the FS, the node agent may need to be restarted from all the nodes. That looks a big problem. That's for FS backup, but FS backup have more possibilities. For example, we may be able to run FS backup in a dedicated pod, the same as data mover. In this way, that will not be this kind of problem, but that requires big changes, right? But if we keep as FS backup into the node agent pods, we need to solve or consider to solve the problem we face regarding to the FS pod. Yeah, that's it for archive backup. And for data mover and the maintenance job, as you know, we have the data mover and maintenance job in a dedicated pod. So literally, we don't have the problem like the restart or something like that. Once we add a pod, we support the FS. And actually, it's quite easy for data mover and maintenance job to support the FS because we already create a pod and we already to manipulate the entire spec of the pod. So to support an FS, we only need to add a new part into the spec, pod spec, and add a volume and volume mount into the data mover pod and maintenance job. That's it for these two ones. And of course, we also need to clarify what is the things like to for the client side to access the data that's stored in the FS server. So that is something like we have discussed for the download server, right? That's all we can. We have came out during the previous discussions. That is one part, and the other part is how does this go with the BSL and the unified repo. So for the BSL, we need to figure out a way to expose these FS configurations to BSL and for how many things need to configure is something we need to figure out. For example, because so generally we have the static provision volume for FS and a dynamic provision one that is leverage on one kind of plugin for FS. So one kind of so something like a plugin for FS. I mean the FS provision plugin for Kubernetes. And for the unified repo part, we also need to answer the question that how it would work with the unified repo and what is the change what change is required. For example, we have this unified repo concept for two reasons. For example, we want to the first one, we want to support different repos. Currently, we have Copia, and we may be able to support more in future, and that is one thing. And that's the other thing is another thing is we want to support the backup storage, or we call the thick backup storage or rich backup storage that already have a repo functionalities inside it. For example, the many enterprise level or commercial backup storage. For this ones, we need to we need to bypass the Copia. So bypass Copia. So it means the unified repo. We need to have a neutral configuration for unified repo so that the unified repo level could work with both repositories or go with Velero like Copia or like some other repository and some standalone backup repository that we need to bypass the repository, go with Velero. That is for unified repo. And the next question is something we have discussed in the committee meeting. How to handle the Velero server and node agent restart when we need to add a new BSL or add a new FS location. And for that, we think that is it's a critical problem if we let it go. Because when user add a new BSL, the Velero server and the node agent will be restarted, and all the running backups will go to fail state. That's something make impact, big impact to users. So for this one, so we may have two directions. The first one is we can solve the problem that we avoid the restart without server node agent. And the other direction is if we cannot fix this problem, we at least need to give a graceful user experience from end to end. For example, we may need to add some functionalities like adding BSL. And during adding BSL, we give user options that we restart without server node immediately, or we just postpone that and postpone the postpones the initialization of the BSL. So that means the BSL will not be used until the Velero server node agent restart. So user can pick a safe time that they may not have activities like backup, restore, or maintenance. At that time, they restart the Velero server node agent. But that's some very preliminary, ideas. We need to continue to dig into that and find to clarify the end-to-end workflow. And the last part is a question about what kind of PVCs or PV is required to support this NFS. So first of all, we think the PV or PVCs should be read-write many volume modes, because we have the maintenance job, and we have the data mover, we have the after backup for this third part of the same FS location may be accessed at the same time from different pod. So it means it brings some challenge to support the local volume, but local volume is never the top priority comparing to the FS, right? Because as all we can say that our first target is to support the FS, and local volume is just a side benefit, right? So we think might be fine to have the volume as a read-write many only. That is this one, and the last one is also some preliminary idea. We are thinking about what kind of PVs or do the PV or PVC need to pre-exist regarding to this requirement. We use the FS as a target backup, so it's static. It should be preserved for a long time and safely. So this means that we may not need that flexibility to have the volumes or PV or PVC dynamic provision. Because in that way, that is not necessary for one thing, and for the other thing is it is not safe for users, because user may configure something wrong in the BSL, and so by mistake they indicate Velero to create a new NFS location and create a new repo and to leave the existing backup data aside. That's something we want to avoid, and in this way of in this way or in this by this idea, we think the PV may be static, may be fine for static provision only, or we can even ask the user to prepare a PV beforehand, make that returned, and then for every time of the BSL creation or mount of the volume to the node agent or node agent or data more or maintenance pod, we don't need to provision a new PV. We just create a PVC to bind the PVC to the existing PV. That is the most safe way, and that is also a most simplest way, because as we just talk about the unified repo, some backup storage doesn't even need to create go with Velero's repo, and they also have the ability or capability to expose the IFS directly. So, but they may need different configurations. So have the PV static provision and returned. We will leave the work of configure the PVs to the backup storage to users, but it's okay to leave them to user because they know everything well about the storage. So we only need to create a PVC to bound that PV. Yeah, that's for this one. And but for every question, there is not a concrete answer, because we haven't, even though we have discussed the support for several times, but we haven't, make a very deep investigation. So we haven't finalized them for every question. So I think we can continue the discussion online and both online and offline, and hopefully we can have answer for this question. And we may need to add more answers, so that we need a new overall design to address on the question. So do we have any question for now about the current opening questions or issues for FS support?
Just a quick point, Lyndon. Thanks for that in-depth review of what you guys have been thinking about. That was a lot of information to absorb. We're probably going to have to go back through the recording. Is there an opportunity to break out what the issues that you have here, and maybe in a little bit more depth in a separate HackMD that especially Tiger can get in there with you guys, and maybe Shubham and Scott as well?
Yeah, sure, no problem. We can compose MD, and we will have edit or review and from along with the time, and maybe we can add more discussion or open questions or answer.
Okay, thank you. Tiger, did you have anything? Oh, go ahead.
Do you have any expectation, like in which version you think we need to deliver the NFS support? Because that's also interesting to us, but I'm not sure we have enough bandwidth to handle that in 1.16.
Yeah, from the Red Hat side, I don't think there's any pressure to do it. I know there's customer interest, but nobody is banging hard on the door right now asking for it, and I think I could push off anyone that is. So I think we could take our time on this.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and from the technical point, so I think before we go, before we go for 1.16 or 1.17, we need to make a clear, a clarification. What is everything like? How everything works? It's okay. We don't support that. It doesn't work, but we need to clarify. And what is the problem? What is the limitation? Like for this FS backup, we have, as we have just discussed, maybe we cannot, we can say that we don't need to support that for specific a version of Velero. It's okay, but we need to clarify that.
Also, I think we might want to limit number of versions of NFS we support to the NFS
Yes.
4, and maybe
Yes.
depending on the
Yes.
test, don't allow root squash or something. We'll see.
Yes, that's something we need to investigate and clarify. Maybe we don't need to support the very old version of NFS, but we need to clarify that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And okay, we can continue this discussion. That's it. And the next one, Daniel, please.
Yeah, the last one is, yeah, that one, yeah, if you click up, open the link, yeah, that one we discussed, like, if he's still, oh, okay. I see a comment by Tiger. Could you scroll down?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think we reached agreement that like we don't really need this. But I'm sure someone somewhere the user's gonna request this at some point, so we might as well leave this space for discussion by the community, and if it ever becomes feasible to implement it, someone might comment in here and we can reconsider this feature. But I don't think it's any requirement from my side at this
I
point.
see. So yeah, so probably implementing A3 64 may already satisfy the requirement on your side, right?
Yeah, the changing the time to 6 hours, I think. Yeah, configuring the maintenance time, that I think that's already enough for
Okay.
us. Yeah.
Yeah, and the cleanup is still in progress. So, like Copia cleanup investigation from our end. So, keeping this open, we might pivot to the implementation. We would pivot to something else to fix this. But yeah, let's keep this open for discussion.
Understood. Okay.
Yeah, and actually, so for Copia, so we also know that we also have some user requests or user query like why my backup data cannot be deleted immediately once my backup is deleted, and actually yes, that is you know the normal requirement from user, but we need to know that this something the Copia repo or most repo cannot make. Yeah.
I'm just, if that I agree that's a question customers would ask. We are putting together some documentation that hopefully will address that and walk through the Copia safety features and why they have it the way they have it. We're happy to contribute that upstream as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just want to add some input from my understanding about the how what is happening. So here so for one thing about the effect of the repo's DC process. When we put the data into the repo, it's like we put and a different size of balls into a big box. But when we want to pick one size of balls from this box, it's a difficult thing. So it requires resource and time. So it's quite and also we need to know that the Copia repo is working at the client side, and that is working on the work node of the cluster. That is the client side, and we don't have enough resource to assign to Copia to do these things. So this the GC must be done offline and granular. That is first thing, not about the safety, and and it's also about safety. Since in the other thing is about the safety. It's like as we can see that a copier doesn't have it's a repo doesn't have reference count for each content. So this means that it's a critical or foundation part for copier to keep the data safe. To keep it work safely, that they keep the data for some specific time, or that is the margins we want to the margins when we talk about copier. So I think it may not a good idea to remove the margins like this safety non configuration, but finally users requirement is always a requirement. So when user just want this their data to be removed from the bucket, we may need this safety non-configuration or flag that is go with maintenance may be a way, but that way should not be, as Tiger mentioned, should not be go with Velero or should not be used in the production activities. It can only be used like I just don't want every data. I just want to release my bucket. In that way, we can add some document to tell you that you can use that with copy of CLI only. That is out of Velero. That is out of the
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
that should be something that the user has to type out and hit the enter key on themselves.
Yeah, they can do that themselves. Actually, when we encounter a problem like okay, my data has been my backup has been deleted for a long time, and my maintenance job has run successfully for a long time, but my data is not deleted. So if we also recommend user to use a copy of CLI to run the maintenance one time or more. For that part, we need to document. We need to have a document.
So quick question on that. So they could download the Copia client, but we probably want to make sure that they're downloading the one that Velero has forked, so we're on the right version.
Yes.
We could do that. We could also maybe create a pod where they could run those Copia commands separately. I don't know, there's options there, but I agree with you generally speaking, but I think we want to be careful what they download.
Yes, and furthermore, we are delivering the Copia code is not the same with any of the upstream code. I mean the Copia upstream code. So we have a separate branch. We have maintained several commits in the branch. So the best way is to answer your question. The best way is just we compile a client version, a client Copia.
Sure.
But that is another problem, how to deliver that binary to users. And so this is all we need to consider, in order to complete the final document about this part. But we can continue. If we want, we can continue to work on this, along with this opening issue, or we can open a new one.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be perfect all on day one of this. I agree.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. Any other things we want to discuss today? Okay, then thanks for joining. Have a good day and good evening. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.